Right from work to the podcast because Elijah Hawkins hits the portal from hero to heartbreak here in Minnesota.
Hey, you are Locked On Golden Gophers.
No matter what we're going to do here, we're just going to keep rowing.
Your daily podcast on the Minnesota Golden Gophers.
However it turns out, we're just going to keep rowing.
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
We're just going to keep rowing, and keep rowing.
What's up, Gopher fans? You are listening to Locked On Golden Gophers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. My name's Kane Rob, host of the podcast, former collegiate football video coordinator and recruiting assistant, here to talk Golden Gophers with you each and every day of the week, Monday through Friday. And today we've got some tough news, some good news, and some who knows. You know, it's a hard one for Gophers fans because Elijah Hawkins officially hits the transfer portal for Gophers men's basketball. And you know what? We're a little bit shocked, a little bit dumbfounded, a little bit betrayed. It all comes across, and we'll dive in why today. We're also going to talk about Adam Kissayi officially transfers to Minnesota, committed back to Minnesota as a true freshman, and then flipped to Clemson, but he's coming back to Dinkytown. And then finally, NFL Draft talk with Gophers, where I think they could end up going this week in the NFL Draft. It'll be here before you know it. I want to know your thoughts in the comments below. But first, let's talk about Elijah Hawkins. I need to know how you're feeling. I need to know what's going through your brain, who needs to take his minutes, who needs to get the next man up opportunity. But Elijah Hawkins is officially hitting the transfer portal, and it came out of nowhere. It came out of left field. It hurts. It cuts deep for Gophers fans. But there's heartbreak all across Dinkytown as Elijah Hawkins officially enters his name into the transfer portal. Now, I think, first of all, we need to stop calling this college basketball, stop calling it the NCAA and more of an amateur league, because this is pro basketball now. This is a paid league, and you might as well call this one the pit stop as a pro league, because kids are either, one, in this thing looking to get in and out in a year and get to the NBA, or two, jumping into the portal from year to year, school to school, trying to cash in on what they can get the most of for money. It is solely that, and it is not regulated. It is just a crapshoot, especially when it comes to collegiate basketball. If you see, it seems like with football, it's a little different because you have 100 players on the roster, so you don't lose your whole team. In basketball, you've got 13 scholarship players on the roster, so when you lose 5 or 6 of them, you lost the whole dang team, and it's hard to get back. Why would you want to coach in that landscape if you don't know who's coming back, and your success and your development and the program and culture you're trying to build is gone each and every year, depending on if somebody comes in and offers a bigger bag? So overall, it's tough. But after not only one, but 2 double downs, official comments saying he is staying, he's committed, he's coming in with Minnesota once again, Elijah Hawkins is like, yep, honestly, never mind. Cue it up with Drake, but he says, I am going into the transfer portal. Now, I'm not going to lie. When I saw Dawson Garcia's graphic saying, I'm back, I was like, okay, awesome. Then we got a Mike Mitchell Jr. one. I'm coming back. Oh, sweet. Then we got a Caden Betts one. I'm coming back. And I was like, oh, okay, this is nice. This is nice. And then some time went on, and I'm like, okay, why haven't we seen an Elijah Hawkins one? I'm getting a little bit nervous here. And then we get an Elijah Hawkins. I'm coming back. And I was like, you know what? Perfect. Weight off the chest. We're doing good. I'm feeling it. The number 1 assist man in the conference in assists per game, or tied for first in the conference, a top 5 player in assists in the entire country. I'm here for it. And then I breathed a sigh of relief. I was ready. I was ready to go. We got a lot of our core back. I'm ready to get to the tournament, waiting on Cam Christie. But after today, Gophers fans feel like they got betrayed once again. And this isn't the first time a feeling of betrayal. You had Jamison Battle going into the portal and ending up at a conference team. Then you had Logan Cooley last year, the phenom as a freshman in hockey. And he ends up saying he's coming back, and then ends up changing his mind and going pro. And this one hurts even worse than that because at least with Logan Cooley, he was going pro. And so you couldn't blame the kid. He was getting this big contract from an NHL team, the highest level of hockey. He was going to play at that highest level. He wasn't going to go to some minor league team or some development team. He was going to be on his squad from day one as a leader in that room, as a high level scorer in the NHL for a team that needed him. So you could swallow your pride a little bit. But this one hurts a little bit more because you're losing a player who is playing at one of the highest conferences in college basketball, and he's deciding to go to another collegiate basketball team. Now, he's probably going to get a bag. He's probably going to get a ton of money. He's probably going to get that opportunity. And some team probably missed out on their opportunity at wanting a different guard. Some team with big money, we'll find out again soon who he's going to. Probably a deal in the background, already done deal. But some team missed out on their guard they preferred and wanted, missed out on that and said, hey, we'll give you this amount of money if you want to come over here and be our guard. And Elijah Hawkins was like, that's a lot of money, and I'm going to go ahead that way. That is how I'm assuming this thing went down. Now, I could be wrong, and if I'm wrong, I will come on here and apologize and eat crow. But I'm pretty sure that's how this scenario went. So first of all, you're getting your money. You know what? Go get your money. But second of all, you're a second choice. This team prioritized you. This team wanted you to lead the team. This team gave you the keys and said, go get it. This team gave you every opportunity and said, this is your team. Go lead it with Dawson. Go get it. The team, the offense is in your hands. You control it, your play speed, your timing. You get the big shots. You had it all. And the fan base was behind you. And everybody loved you here. And everybody wanted the best for you. And everybody wanted to give you more on NIL opportunities within the fan base from what they could contribute. But now you're taking choice B. Go get your money. You're getting your money. But you weren't the first choice. You weren't the guy that they initially wanted. You were the pivot option. And that's where it really starts to hurt because Gophers fans wanted Elijah Hawkins here. Now, if you're holding out hope that he could come back, you can stop. You can stop because he wouldn't have entered the portal unless something was already in the works. He wasn't going into the unknown. He has something he knows is going to be there. And my guess is the school is coming with big money, tampering at his finest, but I digress. Now, some fans are shrugging this off and they're like, whatever, go get another guard. We got Isaac Asuma coming in. And I'm a big fan of Isaac Asuma. I think he's going to do great things at the college basketball level, or at the pit stop, as we're calling it now. I think he's going to do great, but you don't want to put that pressure on a true freshman right away if you don't have to. Plus, he would have been a great player to learn from Elijah Hawkins and be able to have that smooth transition. But I think overall, yes, the Gophers can find good guard play, and the Gophers have shown that they can find good guard play from the transfer portal. But this was the tied for leading assist man in the conference in assists per game. He finished third overall in the entire country in total assists, tied for second, had one more assist than him, and they both played more games than him. And then number one in the country was Braden Smith, who played 6 more games, had 45 more assists, but they each averaged 7.5 assists per game, tied for leading in the Big Ten Conference. So his impact is definitely going to be felt. He also hit a number of timely, clutch, huge shots for Minnesota, big momentum type plays to turn the momentum of games. And that is the type of presence that is often harder to replace than the statistics and the assists and what have you themselves. So overall, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough to swallow that and move forward. That being said, on the positive note, Minnesota has proven to find top-notch point guards in the portal that many others overlooked. You can see that with Talon Cooper, who was here for a year, did pretty well, ended up going to the SEC with South Carolina, played really well there. Now you see it again with Elijah Hawkins, comes from Howard, plays here, does really well. I'm sure he's about to go to a bigger named school. So Minnesota has shown. Now, can we go 3 for 3 with another addition showing really well and staying here in Minnesota, hopefully for the long term? We'll see with that. And it stinks that Grant Huffman, who had come and visited here with Minnesota, was a player who averaged 12 points a game, 5 assists a game, 5 rebounds a game, a do-it-all player for Davidson, ended up committing elsewhere. But if this bigger role would have been there, could Minnesota have been at the forefront and a leader in that conversation? That one's, we won't know. That's tough. But this is a new college basketball, and to be 100% honest with you, I'm not sure I really like it at all. The Gophers now lose out on not one, but two starting players, impact level players in college hoops directly due to cash opportunities in Pharrell Payne and now Elijah Hawkins. So good for Hawkins getting your money, but he likely won't be moving on to a pro career in the U.S. basketball when it comes to the NBA. So this stinks for the program overall, but good for him in getting extra cash. We'll keep you posted on where he ends up, who Minnesota can possibly replace him with, and I'll likely dive into why this transfer portal is so broken on tomorrow's show. Now it's time to talk some positive news with the portal and the Gophers' latest football edition. That's what we're going to do coming up next. First, I want to talk to you about our friends over at LinkedIn Jobs, because right now is the time to hire for your small business and you want to find quality professionals that are right for your role. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs, because LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help you find the right professionals faster and for free. And LinkedIn Jobs isn't just some other job board. They help you hire professionals you can't find anywhere else, even those who aren't actively searching for a new job, but might be open to the perfect role. In a given month, 70% of LinkedIn users don't visit other leading job sites, but they do visit LinkedIn. So if you're not looking on LinkedIn, you're looking in the wrong place. On top of that, 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. So hire professionals like a professional over on LinkedIn, where 2.5 million small businesses use LinkedIn for hiring, and they even keep things moving and grooving and make it intuitive for you. They've even added a feature to help you launch writing job descriptions so you don't have to take the time. It is easier, it is quicker than ever, and you can do it for free over at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. Again, that's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post about your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. All right, Gophers fans, before we dive into Adam Kissayi transferring back to Minnesota, the Locked On NFL mock draft is available. I wanted to let you know that it is a 6-episode series on Locked On NFL Draft to hear who the local Locked On experts are picking for every NFL draft fan or every NFL franchise, with live reactions from college football experts and even fantasy football angles. So the Locked On NFL mock draft available now on Locked On NFL Draft on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast. Be sure to check that out. But let's dive into the Gophers. Let's dive into Adam Kissayi, who transfers in from Clemson. Now, he was initially a part of the Gophers 2024 recruiting class. Then he flipped to Clemson, which was supposedly his dream school. So I couldn't blame him. I was like, you know what? Good for him. If you had that dream as a kid, you want to go to this specific school, you finally got the offer and you flip to him. Sometimes you just got to swallow the tough pill and move forward. But after a spring session with the Clemson Tigers, he ends up transferring away from the dream school, officially hitting the portal and landing back with the Minnesota Gophers in Dinkytown, whom he had initially committed to. Now, reasons why he left, we don't necessarily know for sure, but via his mother on Twitter, she said, as the recruit's mother and a diehard Clemson fan, he was simply not fully happy. The culture is not for everyone, so please remember the weight of the decision was extremely heavy on him, especially as an 18-year-old young man, and everyone seems to know everything, but you don't. I have the utmost respect for Coach Sweeney and Coach Eason. Sometimes you don't fit the culture. Quit hating on someone else's dream. Now I'm with her. Quit hating on somebody else's dream. Just like me, I got to take a step back from Elijah Hawkins. I'm mad about it. I'm sad about it. I'm frustrated about it. He's probably my favorite player on the team, but he's getting his money somewhere else. So I am going to let him do him and hopefully move on to bigger and better things. And that's what Adam Kissayi is trying to do. He's coming to Minnesota. He is feeling more of a culture fit in Minnesota. Clearly, he liked the culture when he initially committed, got his dream school offer and was like, yo, this is the dream school. I got to go there. Took the chance. And even in a quick spring was like, this isn't the right fit for me. I want to go back to where I initially committed. And he is back. Now, what are you getting with Adam Kissayi? Now, Adam is an edge from Florida, 6'7", on the border of 6'8", could still be growing. You see both both heights listed on multiple sites, but he's an edge player, 230 pounds, and he had offers from Michigan, Nebraska, Miami, and then even Clemson. So man, oh man, what stood out to me with Adam Kissayi back then and even still now is the speed that he has paired with that 6'7", 6'8" size. This dude can fly, and that is what makes him extremely intriguing. He might be more of a raw prospect. He might take some time to develop, but overall, it pops on the film. And it also popped in the stats in high school where he had double-digit tackles for loss on top of 8.5 sacks as a junior. The dude went crazy. And you know what? He can go even further. And with a coach on the defensive line like Winston Delatibadier, I am here for it because he can hopefully bring out the best from him. Now, this is a player that when we lost out on Wyatt Gilmore from Minnesota at Rogers High School, he goes over to Oklahoma. I was like, you know what? I'm okay with it because Adam Kissayi has that upside to be that guy, to be a higher level player than what we even saw from the hometown kid in Wyatt Gilmore. So I was cool. And then when Adam Kissayi flipped, I was like, man, that kind of stinks. I wish he was staying here, but go get your dream. But now he's coming back. I'm hyped again, and I'm hyped by this edge room because not only did you bring in Kissayi, but you brought in Jackson Howard in this spring session as well, the number one recruit from Minnesota in 2023, who was at LSU for his freshman year last year. So you've got Ja Joyner, who took a massive jump, had 7.5 sacks last year. Coach Winston Delatibadier brought him to that next step. And I think he can go even further this year. Danny Strigow, who saw increases in his production and can go further this year. You got those two back, your starting edge rushers on both sides. Then you got Anthony Smith, who NFL scouts have come, they've looked at this team and they're like, who is that guy? And you know what? He's the next man up. He's the guy that is going to be a monster this upcoming 2024 season and could be even better in 2025. You pair Anthony Smith, Jackson Howard as the next two up, and then you've got Adam Kissayi and Carter Menz working right behind them to be the next men up behind that. This edge room has at least 4 of those 6 players I just named that could be playing on Sundays and maybe even possibly more. So that is special in this Gophers edge room with a coach who knows how to work the finer details and bring out the best, and a coach who wants to be here in Minnesota and has that draw and alumni connection and pride here. So overall, I am excited by this defensive line. I'm excited by this edge room. Hopefully they can beef up on the interior as well, but the edge room has me ready. And you know what? Coach Winston has a lot of talent in this room, and we have seen the jump in production from both Strigow and Joyner. So the upside could be just what this defense needs in a bigger Big Ten conference. Now you pair that with the aggressiveness of the new defensive coordinator coming in, and maybe, just maybe, Minnesota's defense could get back into that top 20, that top 25 in most major categories, and could really be something to get hyped about once again. So big addition from Adam Kissayi. The edge room gets even stronger, and I will keep you posted as we hear more news on the transfer portal before it closes on the 30th of April. Now, the final thing we're going to talk about on today's show is the Gophers in the draft. We're going to keep it brief, but we're going to give you some guesses on what to expect for the NFL draft in your local Gophers coming up next. First, I want to talk to you about our friends over at FanDuel because it's the best time of the year. It's playoff time for both the NBA and the NHL, and baseball is in full swing, and FanDuel is your place to be and place your bet on every single game. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed. So that means you go out there and you place a bet, win or lose, you're getting $150 in bonus bets, win or lose. So bet on everything from slap shots to home runs to slam dunks, all on an app that's simple, safe, secure, and easy to use. What are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon. Again, that's FanDuel.com/lockedon and make your first bet an automatic win with $150 in bonus bets. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook and official sportsbook of Locked On. All right, Gophers fans, let's talk about this NFL draft. Now, how many Gophers are going to get drafted in this year's draft? I think that number is a relatively easy number to guess. I think it is going to be 2, and it's going to be the 2 that we've heard about time and time again, the 2 that made it to the NFL draft combine, the 2 that have been in some of these 7-round mock drafts and what have you. I think it's Tyler Nubin and it's Brevin Spann-Ford. Now, you've heard anywhere from Tyler Nubin from the end of the first round to the 3rd round now all of a sudden. And I think people are overanalyzing, overlooking, getting into all these details, and just they're so pent up ready for the NFL draft that they're thinking too much. You see it with the quarterback talk especially, and some of the wide receiver talk too. But I think overall, Tyler Nubin's going to go in the 2nd round. That is probably likely where he lands. Does he fall to the 3rd round because of bad testing and recovering from cleanup knee surgery in January and what have you? Could he fall to the 3rd round? Possibly, but I don't see it happening. He got an invite to the draft room, but he turned that down. So that tells you he could be on the borderline of the 1st round still. There are still multiple NFL media analysts and sites that produce their position by position ranking for NFL draft prospects, and Tyler Nubin is consistently either number 1 safety or in the top 3 of safeties. Your top 3 safeties are going to go in the first 2 rounds, bar none. Even if none go in the 1st round, you're going to have 2 or 3 go in the 2nd round. Tyler Nubin will be drafted in the 2nd round, most likely, in my opinion. So you can lock that up. Now, where do I think he'll get drafted? I think it'll be somewhere where he can play aggressive in a defense that likes to get after it, likes to be nasty, likes to try to force turnovers, cause chaos, and what have you. I don't think it's going to be more of a conservative defense. So what defenses could be at the front of that? I think his hometown, Chicago Bears, I think they could definitely be interested in him. I think the New York Jets have shown some love his way. They even sent out their safeties coach to come work him out at his pro day. I think those are 2 teams to definitely keep in mind with Tyler Nubin when it comes to the NFL draft. Now, the other player that I believe will be drafted in this NFL draft is none other than tight end Brevin Spann-Ford, and I can't wait for him to find his next home and be able to live out his dream. Now, where could that be? I think the range has been pretty wild across mock drafts and across different things I've heard. I've heard anywhere from the 5th round to the 7th round. Some people are saying undrafted. I do not see that whatsoever. I think he'll land somewhere in that 5th to 6th round, depending on what opportunities, how many tight ends have gone off the board, and what have you. I think Brevin is personally, I think he's a top 5 or 6 tight end in this draft class. I think a lot of people would look at me and be like, oh, you're just saying that because you're a Gopher fan. But no, you look at the intangibles, you look at what he did with blocking, and you look at how Minnesota didn't use him in the passing game and maybe question why. Why didn't they use him in the passing game? But looking at the NFL Combine, looking at his draft or pro day, he caught the balls. He showed that he can run the routes. He showed that he can get out of his breaks and get to the opportunities. He caught a touchdown in the Senior Bowl. He can do it. And so I think overall, even though all these fantasy football fans and fans who just go and watch like highlight tapes or listen and read a bunch of things and then use them as their own opinions, they don't get into what these NFL scouts and coaches and teams are actually looking for. And what they are actually looking for will ensure Brevin Spann-Ford gets drafted in this NFL draft. Now, teams that I think could be a good fit for him, I would absolutely love to see him in Miami. Now, I know they just brought in Jonnu Smith, but he's a much different player than Jonnu Smith. But you look at what San Francisco does. They use a ton of tight ends, but they really use George Kittle in both the blocking efforts and the pass catching efforts. But George Kittle loves to block. He loves to be a beast. He loves to be a dog. He loves to show his fury in the blocking game. And I think that's something that Brevin Spann-Ford will like to do. And he knows it's a part of his skill set. And I think if Miami can go and get him in that 5th round or so, and then all of a sudden you let him really cruise and push on your running game to help your speedy guys like Raheem Mostert, like Devon Achane, you let him create openings for those quick speedsters and be like an extra offensive lineman that can help elevate what you already want to do in that offense. Then on top of that, you have the wide receivers who are super fast, Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill, who can go out there and create space, big plays, and what have you. And then Brevin Spann-Ford can be a cleanup guy. He can be a guy in that red zone who boxes people out, who is 6'7", who can go up there and win with the best of them, who can be a separation issue for some linebackers in coverage. I think Brevin Spann-Ford could be an advantageous tight end in the long run for a Miami team. Another team that I think would be interested is the Dallas Cowboys. They sent their tight ends coach or assistant tight ends coach to come work him out. Seemed like they were chopping it up, chatting it out at the Gophers Pro Day. So definitely could be some interest there. And I will be curious to see if they add him to that room in Dallas. But regardless, excited for wherever he goes, and wherever he goes, I will be a fan. I root for the Packers. I know some Vikings fans on here will be like, whoa. I didn't know that about you. Now you do. And even if you went to the Vikings, the Bears, I don't care if he goes to the worst rival. I will still rock with Brevin Spann-Ford. So looking forward to where he goes. Now, other Gophers names that could be in the draft conversation, I don't think anybody else is getting drafted from this team, but I do think Kyler Baugh is going to be an undrafted free agent. I think he's going to get a deal somewhere based on the production he showed, not only at Houston Baptist, but also coming to the Big Ten, and how quickly he produced here, how much speed he can bring, how strong he is. I believe he put up, I can't remember if it was 33 or 34 reps on the bench press. The dude is massive. And even though he's shorter, he is a guy that has that willpower, that has that drive, and he shows the impact on the interior defensive line. I think he definitely gets a undrafted free agent contract. And then maybe Trey Jones. I think Trey Jones is a cornerback that people could maybe have on their undrafted list to get into their facilities and what have you. But if he isn't on that, I think he'll at least get a training camp invite. Those are the guys. I think Brady Weeks is another player, probably gets an undrafted free agent as a long snapper somewhere. But those are the other Gophers to be on the lookout for. And that's going to do it for us on today's episode of Locked On Golden Gophers. I'll talk to you tomorrow where we're going to talk about this transfer portal and what have you. If we learn more about Elijah Hawkins, we'll talk about that then too. I'll see you then. Row the boat, Sky Imago Gophers, as always, and don't forget to hit subscribe.